Hello class, today we're going to be learning lesson 9-6 in your books. It's about learning how to solve quadratic equations by the quadratic formula. So all this time we've been solving quadratic equations by factoring, by graphing, and today let me tell you there's one more way, and it is simply by using this formula called the quadratic formula. So if you have an equation and it looks like ax squared plus bx plus c, and you have it equal to 0, you can use the following equation. And this equation is called the quadratic formula. And it says x is equal to negative b, so you take the b, you make it negative, plus or minus the square root of b squared, okay, minus the number 4 times your a times the c, dividing it all by 2 times a. This is known as the quadratic formula. Okay, it looks pretty messy, doesn't it? There's a lot to remember, but pretty soon you're going to have this memorized, and if you're using all three of those numbers, a, b, and c, and plugging it in, you can find your solutions. So if you're not good at factoring, this might be for you. If you're not good at graphing, this might be the way to solve quadratic equations as well. There's just a couple things. A cannot equal 0 because I cannot divide anything by 0. One more thing, all of this inside the square root cannot be a negative number, okay, because we don't know the square root of a negative number. So the only other thing is that when you figure out b squared minus 4ac, that has to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so these right here are the only two kind of requirements for using this formula. All right, so why don't we go ahead and begin, and we're going to see how easy this really is. So at the beginning, I have one set up for you. It says solve 3x squared plus 5x equal to 8 using a quadratic equation. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to set it equal to 0 and move the 8 to the other side. So I'm going to rewrite it. 3x squared plus 5x minus 8 is equal to 0. So now I know my a, I know my b, and I know my c. So I can use my formula, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and dividing the whole thing by 2 times a. So why don't we do that? Let's plug in what we know. Negative b, the b is 5, plus or minus, because I'm going to get 2 different answers, b squared, so that means 5 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times b, or times c, which is negative 8. Make sure you keep that negative sign with it. Negative 8. And all of this is over 2 times a, which is 3. Okay, so let's do a little bit of simplifying, all right? I saw my negative 5 on the outside. Let's simplify all of this that's on the inside. This would be 5 squared, which is 25, minus 4 times 3 is 12, okay? And 12 times 8 is 96. And because it is minus times a minus, it means plus 96. And all of this is going to be divided by the number 6. So I'm going to bring this down here. Okay. Again, just rewriting, negative 5 plus or minus 25 plus 96 is actually 121. And that, my friends, is a perfect square. Square root of 121 is the number 11. So I'm going to do negative 5 plus or minus 11, all divided by 6. Okay? So let's separate this now into two different solutions, one with the plus version and one with the minus version. So the first one would be negative 5 plus 11 divided by 6. The other one would be negative 5 minus 11 divided by 6. Okay, my first one, negative 5 plus 11 is 6, and 6 divided by 6 is 1. So one of my solutions is 1. The other one is negative 5 minus 11 is negative 16 divided by 6. That does not divide evenly, but I can simplify it to negative 8/3. So my two solutions are 1 and negative 8/3. Okay, so if you're really good at algebra and you like just plugging in numbers into a formula, this might be the route for you. Let's go ahead and do another one. We're going to solve 2x squared plus 7x is equal to 9. Okay. Like I had before, what I had to do was move the right-hand side so that it was set equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 9. So I'm going to rewrite it. 2x squared plus 7x minus 9 is equal to 0. So now I can see my a and my b and my c. And I can plug them into my quadratic formula. Let's write it again. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Okay, let's plug in what we know. This time my b is the number 7, so negative 7 plus or minus b squared, so that means 7 squared, minus 4 times a, and the a is a 2, times c, the c is negative 9. Negative 9. And all of this is divided by 2 times a. A is 2. Okay. Let's simplify this on the inside. So I have negative 7 again on the outside, plus or minus. 7 squared is 49. And negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 9 is positive 72. All divided by 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to bring this on down. You're going to need a lot of room for some of these problems. So negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 plus 72 is also 121. I don't know how we lucked out this time. Divide it by 4. Okay. Many of you guys like to skip steps, and as you can see, I'm not skipping any steps with this because I don't want to do all this work and make one mistake by trying to just do it mentally. Okay, organize your work. Let's rewrite this. Negative 7 plus or minus 11 divided by 4. Okay, now I can separate it into the plus and the minus version. So negative 7 plus 11 divided by 4, and also negative 7 minus 11 divided by 4. So for the first one, negative 7 plus 11 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, negative 7 minus 11 is negative 18 fourths. And that does not divide evenly, but I can simplify that to negative 9 halves. So x is equal to 1 and negative 9 halves. And I'm done solving this quadratic equation. A lot of work, okay? Take your time. Let's do one more problem together, okay? This time, the x is on the other side, but it shouldn't matter. Okay, we're going to solve 2x squared minus 7 is equal to x using the quadratic equation, and we're simply just going to need to move x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract x and rewrite it, 2x squared, and I'm going to put it in the proper place, so minus x, and then minus the 7 is equal to 0. And I can see my a. What's my b? Well, don't forget, there is an invisible 1 there, so my b is going to be negative 1, and my c is negative 7. So here we go. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. Okay? Let's check this out. Let's plug in what we know. So, negative b, and b this time is negative 1, right? So I'm going to have two negatives there, which is going to turn into a positive, plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared, minus 4 times a is 2, times c is negative 7. All of this is going to be divided by 2 times the a is also 2. Now we have it plugged in, let's simplify. Negative turns into just positive 1, plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared is just 1. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, and negative 8 times negative 7 is positive 56. All of that divided by 4. Okay? I'm going to bring this on down, continue my work. This is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 57 divided by 4. I don't know the square root of 57, all right? This is something you're going to have to do on your calculator. And so when I plug it in, figure it out on my calculator, really it's close to 7.55, so 7 and 55 hundredths when I rounded it, dividing that by 4. So now I can separate this into my two different groups. 1 plus 7.55 divided by 4, and also 1 minus 7 and 55 hundredths divided by 4. Okay. And when I work these out, I'm going to need a calculator for this. And if you want to do it by hand, that's fine. When I add 1 plus 7.55 divided by 4, I'm going to get approximately 2.14, so 2 and 14 hundredths. And when I do 1 minus 7 and 55 hundredths divided by 4, I get approximately 1 and 64 hundredths. So my solutions this time look a little different. Negative 1 and 64 hundredths, and also 2 and 14 hundredths. And that is my final answer. Okay, so these are just ways that you can solve any equation by using the quadratic equation, or the quadratic formula. All right, so what I want you to do is try one on your own. I have 4z squared is equal to 7z plus 2 using the quadratic equation, or quadratic formula. So you need to rewrite it first so it's equal to 0, label your a, b, and c, and plug them in. Okay, so try to solve this. Come with any questions you might have when you come to class tomorrow.